Good evening. My name is Ray Dwyer, and this is Dr. Joe's Dispenza's Meditation and Book Discussion Group. Tonight, we're discussing Becoming Supernatural, Chapter 2, The Present Moment. You first need to master the concept of the present moment, the eternal now. That's the opening paragraph of this chapter. That is how important the concept of the present moment is. He puts it and he says, this is one of the first skill sets to really get into the supernatural. And we'll find that it's hard to define directly. It's symptomatic, but it's hard to really put your finger on it. Here we go. I'm on page 27. It's going to require that you get beyond the physical world, including your body, your identity, your environment, even beyond time itself. Remember, in the earlier meditations gone through, Dr. Joe reaches a point where he says, become nobody, no place, no time. He has been leading us from the very first meditations of breaking the habit through You Were the Placebo to understand this concept. After all, if you don't get beyond who you think you are and the way you've been conditioned to believe the world works, it's not possible to create a new life or a new destiny. Now, that's a pretty solid statement. That's how important the lesson is. You got to get there somehow, some way, and call it something. There's teachers all over the globe who are teaching this using different terms. I am not here to criticize any of them. All of them work. What I like about Dr. Joe's work is he's using plain language, free from symbols, and he's making it a human experience, and it changes your heart. That is the combination that drew me to this work and just keeps me here. Something greater than you, something mystical to take over. In this chapter, I'm going to explain how that works. Mind is the brain in action. Now, that seems like a real obvious statement, but there's some caveats to that. In other words, the neurons that fire together accomplish the task, become more wired together. Every time you have a stimulus, you have neurons that fire, and those neurons enhance the connection they made, or they're working to make new connections. And as they make new connections, you have some neurons somewhere else that have been put away for so long, they fall into the realm of forgetfulness and they lose their hard connections. Experience not only enhances the brain circuitry, but they also create emotions. Think of emotions as the chemical residue from past experience. Now, get this. This is something I've said before. Emotions is just an event remembered of the past. Don't rule your life by your emotions. That's the caboose from a whole chain of events. Just because you're emotional over something, don't let that guide you, because that is the last effect of an event. So if learning means making new connections in the brain, memories are when you maintain those connections. The more you repeat a thought, choice, behavior, experience, or emotion, the more those neurons fire and wire together, and the more they will sustain long term. Every time you rehearse a stress, you're doing just the opposite of what you wish you were doing. You are reinforcing neural pathways. You are refiring the chemistry in your body, and you're retelling your cortex, remember this and rehearse it again at a later date. That's really not what we want to do with the things that stress us, but that's the system. That's how immaterial thoughts literally become matter. Thoughts become matter You get something happens, you learn something, you consider it, and you have a thought. That thought literally becomes matter. How does a thought become matter? One, it builds neural networks. That's matter. Two, it goes in your body and changes your body chemically. Three, those chemicals are remembered by your neural net plexus throughout your body centers so that they will rehearse that. And every time you let that similar thought, similar, don't have to be identical, go in, reinforce that network, and go down in your body, you have now made matter out of an idle thought. Thoughts become matter when they're rehearsed. Emotions are the vocabulary of the body and the chemical residue of past experiences. You ever get in an environment and you get emotional, just like, why am I all upset? Something stirred me. Something is triggering a body memory, and the body memory is releasing chemicals related to a past event that had a similar energy. And so you're getting emotional because that's your body memory, not even your cortex memory. Your body memory stirs and releases chemical energy, emotions. Why is that important? Because a lot of times we think our emotions are some kind of wise wisdom leading us. All they are is reaction to energy signals in our environment that trigger a familiarity in our body memory. And your body memory releases chemicals similar to the body of that event. Isn't that a trip? Jenny, I see your hand up. Hello. Your mic, please. There you go.
Yeah, one of the things that I distinguished is a body memory. Every time I said goodbye to somebody I loved, I'd have this whole experience of being abandoned. And it just comes from my childhood when my mother got hauled off into hospital so many times.
Yeah, that's a past deep, hard program body memory.
Yeah.
And you go into a similar event, and those body memories just flare chemicals. That's not your imagination. That is a relationship. You have a memory in you that is relating and resonating and tuned to an event in your life. And so you redo the same chemicals
It
of your
got so
past.
it got so prevalent. I now say, "Oh, I'm abandoned."
Yeah, that's right. Okay, let's talk about something similar to this. A habit is a redundant set of automatic, unconscious thoughts, behaviors, and emotions that you acquire through frequent repetition. I'm on the bottom of page 30. Habits are, we talked about in breaking the habit of being yourself. Habits become patterns, become attitudes, become personalities, become your reality. And you've got to break the habits that's controlling your life. And sometimes those habits are so deep you don't even know you have the habit until you come up against it. And it really pushes you around trying to make you satisfy that old program. Over time, you've created a set of hardwired neurological networks in the brain, and you have emotionally conditioned your body to live in the past. And that past becomes your future. That's the loop that we build for ourselves. You're not a bad person. That's the human experience. And what we're learning to do here is how to see ourselves and start taking control, or like the book says, breaking the habit of being ourselves, so that we can get free of these programs, so that we can go into that present moment, so that we can realize that who and what we already are, the divine expression. So let me ask you, How much room in your routine, predictable life do you have for the unknown? Why does it take courage to make these changes? Well, because we have filled our life from dawn to dusk with very predictable programs. Why? Because once we learn them, we are comfortable in their routine. And breaking that comfortable stuff to do something new not only is an act of strenuous choosing sometimes, but it's an act of courage because you can't have both lives. You've got to give one up moment by moment. Take an example. We want to get up in the morning and meditate. To do that, we've got to give up something that evening before so we can get a full night's sleep and get up in the morning. That was a challenge for me. I'm just an old guy. I've got absolutely no reason I can't go to bed. I'm telling you, I would find every which way excuse not to go to bed to make it hard for me to get up in the morning. Really fun, kind of funny, I thought, that I argued with myself to get permission to get up in the morning. Why? Because it was a new life pattern trying to achieve something new. And it took, I don't know if courage is the right, but it definitely took a forceful choosing for me to do it. I always thought that's funny how hard it is to choose against your own choosing. But that's how deeply these programs are. This is real. Thinking, feeling loop also produce measurable electromagnetic field that surrounds our physical bodies. By the time you got this far in the book, you know that. You know you are an electric field. You know because you've met people walk up to you and you can feel their energy. Some of them repel you. You just want to back away when they walk up. And some of them just walk up to you and you can't help but smile and want to give them a hug. It's just because their heart is so open and so grace filled and so full of love. It's just, oh, this guy needs a hug. And you just walk up to the stranger, they look at you like, what? He says, I don't know. It's just you got such a great heart. I just wanted to give you a hug. Oh, okay. Because we are electromagnetic fields. When we're in that stress mode, we're not huggable. We're bristles. It's the same system, though. That's the point that I want to point out. The only way we can change our lives is to change our energy. To change our electromagnetic field, we're constantly broadcasting. In other words, to change our state of being, we have to change how we think and how we feel. That's how it's done. That's the foundation stuff. That's what you have to do before you can get into that place that Dr. Joe says, no body, no place, no time, the present moment. That's why you do these blessings of the energy centers to bring your energies in, to break the habit of stress that we live our life in for just a few minutes. Turn that off for a while and rest in it for a few minutes. Receive the blessings that are about you in that love and break that habit and let your mind and heart be at rest. And just like that one speaker said a few minutes ago, I go in it and and a few minutes later, I'm busy head and I get out and I can go back into it and I get out. Yeah, that is exactly what we're talking about. The body is chemically habituated, that's the word, into busyness and chaos. And it takes time to recondition that habit. And partly that's why some of these meditations are over an hour long, because I've been doing this for a while now, and I get anxious towards some of the end of these that are long because my body says, okay, this is long enough. And I go, no, I'm not done. Okay. As a consequence, you are siphoning your energy out of the present moment into your past. You go through all this discipline of turning your energy in, moving up, releasing, surrendering the survival mind, and graciously going into nobody, no place, no time, and being in the flow. And then something chemical rises out to you, and you siphon all that out again into your survival mind. And you go, what am I doing out here? And you do it again. And every time you do it, it's not a failure, it's a victory. Every time you do it, you tell your body, stop it. Over time, like that story of the horse, over time, the rider will control the horse. But we've been doing this busy mind for a long time, some of us. And it takes a little effort. It takes a little practice, takes a little control to stop that. So he asked on page 36, so let me ask you this. Could it ever be possible for your body to start following your mind into the unknown? You ever reached a point where you're so frustrated you can't make it let go, and you're so, can I ever get my body to let go and let me go into that unknown? By the fact that he put it in a book shows you how common that challenge is. So don't beat yourself up over that, okay? I'm telling you, talk to a lot of people. It's like, well, I don't know if I'll ever get there. Look, it's so common, that sense, that he put it in the book. And the answer is the same for everybody. The how-to is a little different, but the answer is the same. Persistence and practice and constantly disciplining that rider and the horse until the horse settles down and gets it. It makes sense that just as your body has been following your mind to every known experience in your life, if you were to start investing your attention and energy into the unknown, your body then would be able to follow your mind into the unknown, a new experience in your future. You see, it's the same system. He's kind of pointing to that here. Just like you wandered off into this survival mind year after year after year, and your body followed it, chemistry. As you do this in the unknown, as you keep pushing this present moment, your body will resist it because it's different, but you just keep doing it, doing it, doing it. And just like it followed you there to your past, it will follow you into the present mind. It's the same system. Think about that for a moment. If you focus your attention on a specific imagery in your mind and become very present with a sequence of repeated thoughts and feelings, your brain and body will not know the difference between what is occurring in the outer world and what is occurring in the inner world, right? But it takes a little bit of honesty here, become with a sequence of repeated thoughts. I worked on this for 6 months and got nothing, but man, I wanted it. How bad do you want? Do you want this bad enough, strong enough, passionate enough to work through your years and years of programming survival? I did. What you put your attention on and mentally rehearse over and over again not only becomes who you are from a biological perspective, it also determines your future. Do you see he's using the same terms in achieving your future intent for the present moment as he used for the past? What you put your attention on and rehearse. Isn't that what we do when we have a trauma and we rehearse it, rehearse it, rehearse it? And then we relive it? Now we do the same system. See, that's how human this is. Now you do the same system. You go into the present moment and you value it and love it and raise your energy into it so that your cortex has an imprint so that you can rehearse it throughout the day. So, oh, I remember that meditation. Oh, I just loved it. And you let your energy rise. And that begins to determine your future. They repeatedly fired and wired those brain circuits with their attention and intention. And over time, hardwired became automatic software programs in their brains, and it became easier to do the next time. That's the equation. Then he goes into discussion about how people tested this. They had weightlifters, they had people on the piano, they had people just exercising and stuff like that. I have some friends when I was younger that were serious weightlifters. I mean, these guys did weights that I couldn't even get up off the ground. We talk about heavyweights. I was a pretty strong boy then, but darn, these guys were powerful. And I was exercising and stuff, and I said, Ray, you're doing it wrong. No, I said, what do you mean I'm doing? I've got the perfect posture. He says, no, you're doing it wrong. What? You're not thinking it. What do you mean? You've got to see this in your mind, your muscles being strong and doing it. See, even bodybuilders know that when you get your mind into it, and even if you're doing something as basic as lifting heavy weights, you are stronger when you are in the flow state doing the weight training, and your muscles will repair faster and grow stronger. This is a life thing. This is a human thing. God, I love Dr. Joe's work. I was exposed to a number of mystical groups, and they all had these secret formulas and secret symbols. And it just, I learned some cool stuff, but nothing touched me like this stuff does. This is human thing. I don't care who you are, where you're from. Dr. Joe teaches this around the planet. Everybody can do this because this is human. Once you learn that where your energy flows and you value it and you raise your love energy and your gratitude to it, you are embossing it in a neural network in your cortex, and you're driving new chemicals into your body, and those new chemicals are changing the very programs of your DNA. And because it's such a beautiful experience, your body will remember it and remind you, and you'll be able to rehearse it. Doesn't that sound the same thing I was talking about stress, except stress doing the harmful thing? That's because not only do you prime your biology every day with your mind, but you also recreate the same physical behavior in order to reinforce those experiences further in your brain and body. And it actually becomes easier to go unconscious every day because you keep mentally, physically reinforcing the same habit over and over again, creating the habit and behaving by habit. See how human this is? Learn to choose and work towards your future self. Learn to break the habit of your survival mind. Okay? But we now know through science of epigenetics that it is not the gene that creates disease, but the environment that programs your genes to create these disease. That's important for what we're talking about here in the present moment. Because as you go in the present moment, your stress turns off and your energy comes in. Your body knows when the energy is here to start healing, and it starts healing. As you go into those higher energies of frequencies of love, that new high energy goes into your body and re-energizes the very cells, releasing a new environment, and your DNA releases different proteins just by doing this. You don't know how you digest your food. You put food in your mouth, chew it up, and swallow. Your body knows how to do that, but you can interfere with it. by doing stressful things. By moving into the state of the present moment, you have gathered in your energies that are out protecting you. They're doing what they're supposed to do. But when they get powerful, your immune system diminishes, your nutrition absorption diminishes, the very salivating glands in your mouth dry up, your brain gets focused. You get to do all these things that are harmful to the body. When you go into the present moment, you turn all these guys off and say, take a break. I'm going to be doing this. And all these energies that were like this are now come into you. And they go, oh, finally, the boss is going to let us do some healing. But then you move into that eighth center and you receive the love that's waiting for you. And that divine light comes in and lightens you up. And now your body has the energy. The immune system isn't charged up. Your chemistry to the cell level changes and your DNA epigenetics starts releasing new proteins. As I said earlier, previously, emotions are the chemical feedback, the end product of an experiences we have in our external environment. The gene itself doesn't physically change. The expression of genes change. And that expression is what matters most because that is what affects our health in our lives. As you change your energy, epigenetically things happen. That's epigenetically means epi above genes. You start instructing your genes to do something different. Why is it something different? Because you're changing your body energy. We do this all the time. When we get into a hard time in our life and we turn on anger and hate, we have changed our energy and we are telling our body, fight for your life. And your genes produce different proteins. Same system. Now we're talking about releasing this and moving in and allowing a new light into us. And that new light, just like hate and anger, changed our genes to one type of protein. This new light will change our genes into a new release of proteins that will heal us and enliven us and give us health and light. See? There isn't an organ or a system in the body that does not rely on the product of proteins. There's a paragraph here on page 40 that I thought about reading, but then I don't want to get into a preachy mindset about proteins. This body, if you stand in front of a mirror, 70% or more of what you look at is protein. When you sit down and eat, think about that. Every cell in your body, other than red blood cells, produce proteins to reproduce. Okay. These genes are responsible for stem cell getting the instructions of differentiating, transforming into whatever cells the body needs. The body is constantly wearing out cells and constantly reproducing using proteins. So when you change your emotions, you change the expression of your genes. Moment by moment, you are changing the expression of your genes. The issue we're facing in this discussion is that we live in a loop. So every day our genes are doing the same thing. Breaking the habit of that loop is our challenge. We are doing that loop for a purpose. We didn't get here accidentally. We solved the problems of our life this way. Everybody has a story and everybody could give a reason why they do this and this and this and this, you know. And I'm asking you to do something different and your body says, no, we got a reason for this and I'm not changing. I'm just pointing out that sometimes change is an argument you have with yourself because yourself knows that you had a choice and you chose this to begin with and you practiced it for years. Now you want to do something different? It doesn't want to. Thanks to these automatic program habits, your cells are constantly being exposed to the same chemical environment outside your body. And that just keeps going and going and going. Your outer environment may have changed, but your body will always believe it's the internal chemistry that more than essential conditions. It so it remains emotionally locked up. What he's talking about is this. Let's say you want to change who you are inside. So you go get another job. You quit that job and you get another job, and the job is really happy, but it's not long before you find no matter where you go, there you are. Because it's not the outer environment, it's the inner environment that needs to change. And that inner environment is was for me my challenge. That's what I had to change. And it was a challenge. Then he goes into IgA and different blood releases where they show that meditation and elevated emotions change elements in the blood. This isn't just feel good stuff. You are chemically, neurologically changing your body when you get this. Just like you are neurologically, chemically changing your body when you stress. Everybody knows that part because everybody knows stress kills, right? Why? Because it's neurologically, chemically changing it in a very destructive way. Okay, same system, different recipe. You start breaking the habits that are destructive, and you start moving, giving yourself time in the meditation chair to practice new things in your head, to start driving new chemicals in your body so that you'll have a new experience to practice throughout your day. You can't do this in the work competitive market. You have to find a place of peace to practice, and it will affect you epigenetically. This means that you might not need a pharmacy or exogenous substance to heal you. You have the power from within to upregulate the genes. Something as simple as moving into an elevated state of joy and love and inspiration. Something as simple as that to practice. What does love feel like? Let me practice that. Just sit in this chair and practice love. I was challenged by that simple statement. So I found a song that was my theme song, my first one of my theme songs, my first one of 2 years. Some of you know it. It's by Foreigner. I want to know what love is. Somebody show me. God, that's a beautiful song. I used to sit here and all but cry because I wanted to know what love is, because I have a wife that just loves me dearly. And I know I was just this shut down man, and I wanted to get past it so bad. And I would listen to that song and all but cry. And I'd sit there and I'd call in the energy and I'd practice and practice trying to let go of this that I held on to all my life. As you can see, I succeeded. But I don't take pharmaceuticals. I don't even take aspirin. Well, I take baby aspirin because I've been told, because of some other issues I have, I need to thin my blood a little bit. So I take baby aspirin, not for painkiller, but just as a blood thinner type thing. And I'm not sure how long I'll do that because it bothers me that I take anything, including just something as simple as baby aspirin. Okay, I'm almost ready to talk about what we've done. I'm over on page 46. Living by the hormones of stress. I mentioned that a few minutes ago. People know that stress kills. Then why don't they know that love heals? When this occurs, the body moves out of balance. That's exactly what stress is. This is the natural, healthy response because in iniquity, we stressed out for our survival. See, these systems, what we have, are not innately destructive. They were designed to help us. We have not trained them in a way that's beneficial to us. Okay? Stress is not a deal killer. Anger is not a deal killer. There are times in your life where getting angry just might be what you need. And then you walk away, and in 15 minutes, you release the anger and you're back to your happy puppy self. Okay? It's important that you see both sides of this equation. It just helps you keep it human so that you're not trying to make a woo woo thing out of it and that you realize this is just a human experience and I need to learn how to control my own chemical body mind self. Okay? If you think how you feel determines the frequency of information you're emitting, your energy field. I didn't read that very well. Yeah, I say I missed a word. Let's try this again. I'm on page 48. If how you think and how you feel determines the frequency and information you're emitting in your energy field, which has a significant effect on your life, and if all your attention is tied up in the outer world of people, objects, and things and places and time, there's no energy left for your inner world of thoughts and feelings. Like I said, you've met people you could tell were just bristly. You know, they might want to come up to you and talk to you, and you just take it back. You'll talk to them, but you want to get out of that bristly field. You know, we've all, I don't know, some of you are sweethearts. You've never been there, but I live there. I know some of you don't get that way. Yeah, but I do. I mean, I know. It becomes difficult to think and feel in any new way when you're addicted to the outer world. When you're addicted to it, you're addicted to it. I was kind of a Mr. Arrogant guy, and I thought, Mom, I'm not addicted to anything. I never take any addictive anything. And I started studying Dr. Joe and went, oh my goodness, I'm addicted not to extraneous chemicals. I create my own pharmaceutical chemicals I'm addicted to. I'm addicted to the stress chemicals, the hormones, the, the, the adrenaline rush. I live for that stuff. And that just kind of bugged the tar out of me when I realized I am addicted to chemicals. To do that, I'm on page 50 now. Here's where I wrote a side note. I've got notes on the side of my page. Here's where I wrote my first side note about flow. I wrote, what is flow? And then this paragraph kind of says it. To do that, you're going to have to get beyond all those things in your outer world by taking your attention off them. That's why we use meditation as the model to change our internal state. This allows us to break from our association to everybody, everyone, everything, everywhere, every time, long enough to journey within. Once you overcome your emotional body and you take your attention off everything known to you in the outer world, you call your energy back to you, breaking the bonds with your past. You're going to have to make the transition from being somebody to being nobody, which means you have to take your attention off your body, your pain, your hunger. You're going to have to go from being someone to being no one. You'll have to go from keeping your attention on something to placing your attention on nothing, forgetting all your stuff, and from being somewhere to being nowhere, getting beyond any of the thoughts about the chair, from being in a linear time to being in no time. I read that and just I went, I've heard this before. And I started flipping through videos and stuff. This is back a few years ago. And I went, I know what this is. This is the description of flow. You got to get out of the way and let your trained consciousness do what it wants to do. And if you're picking from your environment, even if it's just past memories, you're going to interfere with it and mess up the flow. You can't be in flow and worry about your bills and worry about your groceries and dinner and everything. You can't. It doesn't work. The only way to do that is to learn to call all that fractured energy back so you can overcome the emotions of survival that have become addicted. By the way, if you do this work well and manage to call your energy back to you, it will most likely be uncomfortable at first, even a little chaotic. Get ready, because certain areas of your life may fall apart first. I think this is a good time. Before I started this recording, I asked a few people who experience flow in the work they do. And I said, man, I'm going to get into this and I'm going to ask you some questions. Somebody who knows about flow and experiences it in what they do, a musician, an artist, an athlete, an engineer that does work or some kind of skill set that you work in and you just tune out. I'd like to talk to them. Somebody raise your hand and talk to me about your flow experience. Oh, now you're not going to talk to me, huh? Oh, okay.
Okay, I'll talk. um,
Who's this?
this is Nancy. Hi,
Oh, hello,
everybody.
Nancy.
Um,
Okay,
it's
Nancy.
funny, I never thought of, but what happens is it's something I love to do, usually, you know, and it can be so many different things. But yeah, so it's just like I said before, you're just doing, I'm sure so many experience it, writing or doing so many things. But consciously now, I have to say that it's beautiful to recognize when my energy goes out, and I picture because I used to just did it, and now I'm starting to see it. And what I pretend in my mind is that I'm reeling it back in like a fishing pole back into me, and then I kind of sit uh, in the now, because I had this saying, now is my favorite. But but uh, but that one experience I've had many by grace. Um, just love something and start doing it. And but that one I wanted to tell you, because that one time was so fantastic. When I was 19, I was in this band and we were just practicing, and I had a solo, improvised solo, and I was just getting better at playing my horn. I didn't have to think about, okay, which notes do I play in this song, and I just knew it at that point. And it was so strong. I was playing, and I felt an electrical impulse go through the top of my head all the way to my feet and back up. And I finished the solo, and I don't even remember a note I played. I don't
That
even
was
remember
where I
now.
hope you would go, is the transition from the time you were working at it to the
Yes,
time you were flowing in it. That first
yes,
transition is what so many people, because once you do it a few times, it's like home. Your body just loves it. And so you
yeah,
remember it. But getting that first couple of events is a challenge because your body just screams, no, no, no.
yeah.
So talk a
But
little bit about how you achieved that transition point.
well, see,
What did you do?
that day I was just loving playing in that band so much that I didn't plan on that. That was my first big experience like that. But now it's kind of nice because there's subtler forms of it. But I just can feel when, you just, like Neil Donald Walsh says in Conversations with God, you have to be out of your mind to get into your, oh, what is, I forget now, it's so clever. But what I mean, all of us I know have experienced when you're just you are not, you're just doing something, and your mind is gone. Like you're not even, you're just thinking on that one thing. And but like I said, now I can see where I'm going out with my energy now. And so pulling it back in, being in the present, but just getting into something like Ginny and her stained glass, you know, sorry, I'm not a real orator,
No,
but
you're saying just what I hoped you would say.
oh
You
yeah,
know, just
because I think all of us definitely have felt it before. Like just think of something, or some time went by where you're doing something and you're
yeah,
done already and you're having fun.
yeah.
And yeah,
So what I'm
it's good
hearing you
stuff.
say is that this is a normal human thing. When you do the
Oh yeah,
steps, when you do the steps and you
for sure.
earnestly want it, you can't do it
Yeah,
casually, right? You've got
yeah,
to earnestly want it, and
yeah.
you've got to teach your body deeply, and eventually you'll just step through and it takes over.
Yeah, like something like this I can see, and I want to put in the time because I think it's going to be beautiful
Yes,
to work
yes,
this stuff that Dr. Joe has. And but other things honestly come out of a true love for something. And I'm going to instill so much love into this as well. But love
that's
is the
yeah,
key. Love is the key to everything. And it's just love something and
yes.
do it.
That's what I was hoping for. That was a good story. Thank you, Nancy. Erna, I see your hand up.
Hello.
Hello, Erna. Thank you for being
Okay,
patient.
sure, no problem. I was want to make sure I muted properly. So um, I'm on an inner work journey, and I'm also a house sitter, and I also coach a little bit on the side. So that's my areas of work fall into one of those three areas. I don't do as many hobbies as I would like, but that's okay. So at the during August, I really, it might sound strange, but I healed through my relationship with productivity and rest and work. And so I was able to oscillate between working and producing and then resting whenever my internal world called for it. And one of the many outcomes of that, which is really nice, is that I go into flow. Throughout the day, I separate my work like into time blocks. Whether it's 25 minutes or 15 minutes or whatever. During those containers, those time containers, no matter what it is, it just flies by. And it's the most floaty, beautiful, even tasks I don't enjoy. Like for instance, I live on as a house sitter, I have to take care of the lawn and there's a lot of acreage here. And there's some parts of that that I do not enjoy. As soon as I hit the timer and I'm on like work that I legit hate, it flies. I'm
Yes,
just floating through it. And so for me, the ability to go into flow with anything, like I just being able to be able to be highly organized, highly
yes,
productive, still rested, that for me came out of unlearning what I learned about work and rest and
right.
worth.
Okay. Talk about your first experiences and how you transition from the struggle of practice and repetition into flow.
So,
Can you think about those early days when you were just, and then it just happened?
ooh, okay. I don't think my answer is gonna fit great.
Sure, it will,
um,
because that's part of the life experience. Part of what I say, this is
yeah.
human, and so we all have variations in what we experience.
Okay. Thank you.
But the principle is the same.
Thank you for saying that. Yeah, we do all have different experiences. So okay, so I would try and I would feel like I wasn't doing enough and I wasn't getting I wasn't accomplishing enough and it was affecting my feelings of worth and all that. And then honestly, I um I processed my emotions and I healed that trauma. And then and that the part of that is the rewiring of the brain. And right after I was able to do it. So maybe
Yes.
that's okay.
Do you see how that's the same pattern that
hmm
you get when you go into the present moment in your meditation? When you get it
hmm
right, time doesn't matter because
hmm
you're involved and you're not this anymore. You've managed to go into that meditation and you've let go of your survival mind, your survival self ego, and you're off doing something. And time just disconnects because time is a relationship of physical things. And you just get into it. Like we talked a moment ago, where sitting for an hour in meditation is a struggle a lot of times. Why? Because we're still in our ego selves, and our ego survival self wants to do something physical. But once you get there, just like what you and Nancy talked about, once you get there, time just disconnects. It's not part of the equation. You just do it until you're done. And then you come up and you go, I don't know if it was 15 minutes or an hour. Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is the message. I want people to understand. Well, I want, it's kind of a bully way of saying it. I hope I help people understand that they too can do this. This isn't an alien thing that you need to be some guru sitting on a pillow going om all day. This is an equation that the mind has built in. You do a repetition. You drive that repetition with earnestness and love, not resentfulness, not bitterness, but with all the love expression you can stir up. Remember that song I told you that was driving me? I want to know what love is, because I understood that if I can learn this special kind of love, I can overcome. Because I can let go when I learn what this love is. That was what I was doing. I held on to my past with bitterness, which is why I got all sick and crazy and did all those other terrible things I did. But once I learned that, I broke the habit of being myself. I learned how to be the placebo of self-healing. And I discovered my way into the present moment and into the kingdom. This is what we're talking about tonight. Just what these ladies talked about in their present moment, their flow state. Those are both spot on. That's what I was hoping for. I can listen to one more flow state description if somebody else would speak. Otherwise, I'll continue. No? Okay, we'll continue. Thank you. That was what I was looking for. I wanted to express that this is a normal thing. This isn't a mystical thing. That it has an equation that can be done in work, can be done with music and arts, can be done as an athlete. It's an equation. And when you do it with time and according to your personal self-expression, you'll have it. That's how it works. I'm on bottom of page 51, calling your energy back. If you're going to disconnect from the outer world, you have to learn how to change your brainwaves. So let's talk about brainwaves. He goes into a couple pages talking about alpha. Talks about beta in the higher levels. Talks about alpha, theta, delta, gamma. I'm sure by the time you get to this book, you've heard this numerous times, so I'm not going to rehearse it. Wouldn't it be wonderful during meditation to disconnect your association to all the elements of your outer environment, to get beyond your body, your fears, your schedule, and forget about your familiar past and your predictable future? If you do it right, you will even lose track of time. And find yourself in the present moment. Only in the present moment can you call your energy back to you. When you're in stress, you're pushing energy out. And that's what that stress is designed for. This isn't an evil that's built into you. You're not some kind of dark force, because you're just working in a program that has become destructive instead of beneficial. When you go in present moment, this energy comes back to you. You literally draw your energy back to you. These aren't exaggerations or metaphors. This is what happens. They can measure it. The instant you notice what's happening, that you're putting all of your attention on the emotion, you become aware that you're investing your energy into the past. If you're giving your attention energy to an emotion, you're giving your attention and energy to something of your past. That's why I say don't give much value to an emotional disturbance. Just figure it out and put it away because it is an event of your past. And sometimes that past can be a long time ago, and it just is still a record in your body memory. Take a look at figure 2.8. It shows that once you find yourself in that sweet spot of the generous present moment, your energy no longer goes away from you to the past and the future that it did before. Now you're diversing your energy of that familiar past and predictable future and bringing it back into you. You literally recall that energy. And when you do, your body has more energy now to heal. If this is all you get out of this, your body will begin to heal. This is enough to help you heal. Isn't that amazing? The body wants to experience physical reality with its senses in order to embrace an emotion. But your goal is to create a reality from the world beyond your senses that define not your body as the mind, but you as the mind, and that you is not the attentive mind, but you through the quantum mind. Okay, the quantum mind is a chapter out of the placebo. Each time you overcome those automatic habits, you will become greater than the program. Every time you keep setting your back into that present moment, like training a dog to sit, you're reconditioning your body to a new mind. Allow what's real, and what's real is you are in the habit of chaos. Distraction might be a better, less negative term. You're in the body habit of distraction, going here and here and they're checking this, checking. You're not going to shake that overnight. Well, who knows? Maybe you can. I couldn't. But with time and with loving reinforcement, oh, you can, I love you, right? You can do this. Look at this. Look at what we're going to do. We're going to become this. Teach your body to love that future self. Give it value. When you get beyond your guilt, your suffering, your fear, your frustration, your resentment, your unworthiness, you're freeing your body from the chains of those habits and emotions that keep you anchored in the past. That pretty well described me, all those words. If you have 2 hours, on the other hand, I can relax, knowing I have plenty of time. In this page, on page 58, he says, I used to try to meditate at 1 hour, but I'd be pressed for time and I'd get distracted because I didn't give myself enough time. So he would sit down and tell himself, I've got 2 hours. So even if I don't get it done in an hour, I still got time to get in and relax. If you expect that you're going to be rushed for time, you're going to be rushed for time because you go into the meditation expecting that. I became conscious that my attention is in the known future, and I stop anticipating the known and turn my back to the present moment. See, these things are not just because we're weak. This is Dr. Joe saying he went through this too. He went through this, and he's telling us how he learned his way to get past it. You see, this is so human. The best of us have these same struggles. Now, they're all different, they're all unique, They're all to some degrees. And the biggest frustration you'll ever get is to meet somebody who just walks in and goes through the door. I understand people who struggle. I don't understand people who go, oh, okay, how'd you do that? Well, I just did what Dr. Joe said. But what? How'd you do that? That's more disturbing to me than people with struggling it. People with struggle just seem like, well, that's normal. I can relate to that. There are some people like musicians. There are some people who just can play music. They're just like, what? You just do this. And you look at it like, what planet did you come from? You know? Okay, last page, then we'll talk some more. I keep returning to the present moment. I'm calling energy back to me. Now I'm in the sweet spot of the generous present moment, and I have available energy to create. I've built my own energy field surrounding my body. Every time I labored, sometimes for hours, to get beyond myself to find that place called the eternal now, I truly break through. I've always thought the same thing. That was worth it. Some days you can't get there. I'm speaking about me, excuse me. Some days I couldn't get there. Some days, even now, I wake up and it's like somehow somebody sleep me a poo-poo pill over the night. You know, just like I wake up grumpy, like, what in the world happened to me last night? What kind of dream did I have? And I come in here and sit to meditate, and I'm just kind of doing this. It's like nothing. I am shut down. Fine. And I just get up, walk, go have my morning coffee or something. And I say, fine, I'll be back tomorrow. I'll take care of you then. You know, this is human stuff. Okay. But is it worth it? Are you kidding me? My very life I have depended on me succeeding in this. Yeah, it was worth it. The smile and heart and happiness of my wife. Oh my goodness, that's sweet. It's so worth it to see her pleased with me, to see her happy with my love, to see her love joyful. Oh my goodness, I'm so pleased with that. Yeah, it's worth all the effort, all the hours that I spend in this seat, all the effort of learning and applying that knowledge until I can step into that present moment and surrender my survival mind and receive from the energies that are there waiting for me. And those energies are there waiting for you. I experienced it. I saw it. And it will rewrite yourself if you ever get there. I'm telling you, it's worth it. Okay. Now I'm open for more conversation. We can talk more about flow and the transition, how I get there. We can talk about meditation, and we can talk about the struggle to get into the present moment. Let's talk a little bit.
Hi again.
Hi, Nancy.
I did want to note that I haven't had that experience since I was 19, and I played my saxophone again. And you're helping me see that, and I kept trying to chase it back, and I have to let that go because that's taking me out of the now. But
Yes.
what's so beautiful is that I'm starting to see. I waste a lot of energy on self-criticism. There were certain things that I did, and still guilt and shame had kept me trapped for quite a while. And now I'm seeing that as an outside energy, like everything now I'm just starting, like you've helped me so much, and Dr. Joe, just to say, and I think part of the reason is because, I've lived my life, and I have all these neural patterns that I've developed. And believe me, guilt and shame were a huge one that I'm starting to break down. And it was something I was doing to myself that I felt guilty about. But anyway, I just want to say, I think that's you're helping me see that because I've developed these neural patterns that now they're so strong, some of them. But I always had love in there. Love is in all of us. I know that for sure. Like we are divine we are just little pieces of the divine. And that's what's so beautiful. We are different because we couldn't be the same, because we're different pieces of it. So it's nice to know that I can start working on whatever the patterns are, whether it's guilt or shame, or I go on and I had maybe a weird experience with someone. So when I see them on the street, I have a little fear thing going on. It's all past stuff, or predicting the future, or things like that. It's so fun, because I believe me, I don't do this all day long either, and it's not perfect anywhere near it, but I'm going to start practicing being, like I said, coming back, kind of just pulling that stuff back in, like, and bring it to the present. But you know, we're each on our own path, and you can do it. You know, you're meant to do it. We are born to do this. We are born to do this.
Yeah.
And overcome stuff, and be one again with whatever it is.
This is the human experience.
Yeah.
It's not alien. It's not even mysticism. This is the human experience. Learn how to get free.
Yeah.
It's 2 steps. You have to unlearn and you have to learn. You unlearn the past and you come in with a new teacher. You get new knowledge, but to get new knowledge, you go to a different teacher. You ever go to a restaurant, no matter what thing you enter, you purchase on the menu, it all seems to taste the same? You need to go to a new teacher, enter stage right, Dr. Joe Dispenza, and get new knowledge, the quantum physics. Who of us really grew up to say, I'm going to study quantum metaphysics so I can learn to meditate? Are you kidding me? Whoever thought of that? Get new knowledge, and through that new knowledge, you have new choices and new experiences, and you have a new life. But to do that, you've got to give up something in your old life, because your old life occupies yourself 24/7. You've got to give up some hours of that old self, and it doesn't like it because it's part of its survival. Its job is to be consistent, and you've got to change it. You are very right about that, Nancy. It takes choice. Thank you. Claudia, thank you for your hand up. Thank you for being patient.
Yeah. So since you were mentioning getting into flow and having trouble with that, so I do Vipassana meditation. I don't know if people here have heard of it, but I've noticed that sometimes, even though I'm in the meditation, it's almost like there's this background stress. Like I can still feel kind of like my heart like beating faster, even though my mind is relaxing. I don't know if that makes sense. So I guess my question would be, what are your main tips to just kind of fully get into that space of no time, no place, just
It is
as fast as possible, I guess.
No, I can give you a basic course, because everybody's different and everybody's program, like you've got a different meditation program, but the system is the same. The first part of the system is to know that you want to change. You've got, this is what I want to let go of, and this is what I want. And breaking the habit, he says, change. But as I struggled to do that, nothing would change. And I realized in me, I got changed to what? I had to have something to change to. If this is an old behavior, I don't need a king's castle. I need a new behavior. I need something to change to. And step by step, that grew. So it's a progression thing. As you move up into that, the other thing, the next level, is to know the difference between the analytical mind and your spatial awareness. As long as your meditations are working through projective imagery, you're not going to get there, because projective imagery doesn't go through that gate. Consciousness goes through that gate. And consciousness is the quantum mind, which is not tied to your sensory input. When you practice the difference between attentive mind and consciousness awareness, pretty soon you can feel it in your cortex. Conscious mind works on the forebrain. Awareness seems to work somewhere back here. You can feel it. in your brain when you create exercises for it. Now that you're back here and you practice diminishing your sensory input so that you're not sensing your environment, the next step is to release your past environment, your history. And how do you release your history? By getting occupied cognitively, becoming attentive to your awareness. I didn't say give it attention, because you give it attention and like a switch, your head will go zip, I'm paying attention to this image. And you're out. You become attentive. To become attentive is to record in your consciousness the experience. Let me give you an example. Let's say you're sitting in the right seat of a car, somebody's driving you to go somewhere, and you get there, and your friend says, well, do you remember how you get there? I was, well, I don't know. I was just sitting in the car. I wasn't driving. Why? You were aware of everything that happened on the way there, but you were not attentive to it. Now you tell yourself, okay, this time I'm going to become aware of every turn we make so that I can remember and tell my friend how I got here. Now you stay in awareness, because attention will pay attention to the telephone poles and you won't see the houses. Attention will count the love bug. Remember when we used to count VWs going by, as kids, I see one, I see, and you couldn't see any of the cars. You couldn't tell anybody about how many trucks went by. You could only tell them how many Volkswagen, because that's attention. Awareness sees it all. And to be attentive means to record the experience. It took me a little practice to learn what I'm talking about with this, to learn to be attentive with love. The love gives value to your attentiveness and motivation. Now you're loving the scenery that goes by, and you can tell somebody gets there, how do you get there? Well, I know across the railroad track, there's a big building. I think it was a white church. And you can tell points around to how you got there. Not because you were paying attention with the forebrain, but because you were lovingly attentive to your experience. That's how you cross the barrier between what's holding you here and going in. Now that gets you through the door. That is, once you're in the door, you've got to, well, everybody's experience is different once you get on through the door. That's when you surrender your survival self and you declare your worthiness to be there. I grew up with a program in me that says, I am not worthy. I didn't even know I had that in me until I had to cross that in that meditation. I knew I had to cross the bridge of surrender, but my unworthiness program was so hidden, I didn't know that was there until it showed up after I first cleared myself of surrender. My next thing, I wasn't worthy to receive the gifts that were waiting for me. And I had to change that right then, right there, and surrender that program. Give it up, Ray. So as you get there, you may find programs in you that you don't know you have until it's time for you to cross that bridge, and you go, you can't cross this until you give this one up. That was my experience. I don't know if I answered your question or not. I kind of went off on a story.
Yeah, sort of. I guess I was thinking of more like practical, like in the moment things. Like, yeah, what you explained is just kind in general, like right, like diminish the sensory input is one, and yeah, just being attentive. Yeah, okay. I feel like you kind of described it in a more almost like philosophical way.
I did not mean to say it was easy. If I ever imply that, I didn't mean to, because it took me a great deal of emotional effort to do what I very casually just spoke about.
It almost just seems like luck sometimes. Like some days you get into it, other days you don't. You just almost
That is a real thing, because even in movies, they show people try. They're doing everything they can and nothing happens. And all of a sudden they fall through the door.
Mhm.
There is a factor that happens from the other side of the door. I don't know what that is. I
Destiny
mean,
or
yeah, I don't know. Who am I, this grumpy, dark Army veteran that has more shame than darkness? Who am I to be uniquely thrown on the floor, electrocuted, and be divinely blessed and healed all by myself? I can't claim that. I don't know why that happened to me. I can tell you in detail about all the work I got up to that moment. Well, my goodness, I had a divine event. Who am I, this humble man, this guy with a dark, shameful past? Who am I to have an experience like that? I don't know. And so that's part of why I'm here, because where much is given, much is something like that. Much is expected, and so I can't give enough to balance the scale of my gift I was given.
I think you're balancing it.
Thank you. Renee, I see a hand up. Thank you for being patient.
Yes. Sorry, it taken me a while to figure out how to put my hand up. I just wanted to say thank you for this. There's so many little details that you forget when you get mixed up in trauma or sticky situations. And I studied and learned and meditated for 4 years in a row. I even healed injuries. I healed a breast cancer lump. There were things that I was able to accomplish through this, but no amount of knowing and practicing is going to keep you in that loop unless you keep connecting. And
Yes.
sometimes trauma
Put that
can
on your board. Put a wall on it. Got to keep connecting. That is absolutely right. Why? Let me tell you why. It's because 24/7, we're in the opposing concepts, in opposing energy. 24 hours a day, we are immersed in a field of energy that wants to control us and stress us. That is their
Sure.
gain and their purpose. You are
Absolutely.
absolutely right.
And I'm just I'm just learning this. It's so funny. It's like during the meditation, the first thing that came to mind was that, and I guess I was in that flow state, and everything that's negative right now is just in my brain. It's in my brain. It's nowhere else. It's in here. And then the next thing that came to mind was that everything is okay. I'm okay. And everything that we want is coming if we'll just let it, if we'll just get out of its way and we just let it. And also that we're all connected. We are all of the same energy. We are all the same atoms. We are all the same love, and we are all connected. And we all have this beautiful aspect of love, and we are all love, and we are all coming from love. And another thing that was kind of funny that popped in my head was you have to show up to glow up. And that's the one thing that I hadn't even been thinking about, and it just hit me like a ton of bricks. And there were so many things too. I don't know if anybody's ever seen the Heal documentary. Dispenza's in that as well. And that is just a beautiful documentary that if you haven't seen it, I suggest you can get it free on YouTube. And it's something that I try to keep watching on repeat, but no amount of watching it on repeat doesn't do what this connection did for me today. And I just want to thank you for that.
Thank you. Thank you. That was really good. And I like that. That was some good words. And you could tell that other people liked it too, because my screen is just floating with hearts. Okay. Anybody else have a word before I end this tonight? Let me ask you a question. Did you learn something about the present moment? Something that you can carry forward Did you learn that this really is a human thing? That it's not mysticism, that you have to be some kind of guru going om all day long, that this is a skill that you develop. Ruche, I see a hand up.
Hello. Hi, Ray. Hi, how?
Hi.
Uh, actually, like in generous present moment meditation, what are we actually trying to do? I was, uh, I was trying to like uh, see the blackness whenever I try to like think about something else. Then again, I'm like getting my mind to see only black. As you have mentioned that story back then, that you used to see the candle light and then it has turned off and then you see only the black. So I was trying to do that. So in the entire like 1 hour meditation I was trying to do that. I mean like but Sandra was telling that usually how you feel when things are everything is right and how you're actually the present moment is. I mean like what is that we are, I mean like we get to do it.
Yes, just like that. It's practicing going into that present moment, into that blackness, into that void, and resting and waiting and wondering and letting the divine come to us. No, that's not right. I got poked. And letting the divine love into us. Yeah. Yeah,
So
that was good.
so we think about blackness and then automatically things, I mean like come into our mind.
Yes, it's that simple. I
Okay.
have a verse that was given to me that first year. I go into the darkness to find the light. I go into the silence to hear that still voice. I go in alone and find a chorus waiting for me. I go into the nothingness and find an infinite potential. I go before the gate as a pauper with empty hands, and I'm received as a prince and an heir to the kingdom.
Let us
Each one of
continue.
those are profound steps in my journey. The first one is I go into the darkness to find the light. That is the dark night of the soul that I went into, and I found the light in it.
When you mentioned the darkness, I mean, like you meant a pitch dark, or as you mentioned that the light has gone and you are able to see everything, but it's in the dark. Do you
Right.
mean that, or do you mean this?
Well,
Is it a pitch?
if you turn out the lights in the room you're in, your eyes take time to adjust to the darkness. You go into that darkness and you don't have the adjustment to it. It takes a little bit of experience to move from the sensory cognitive mind to the quantum mind that is creative and non-physical. And there is a experience gap there, a time gap. I go into that darkness to find the light. Once I get adjusted to that darkness and I have peace in it, and I expect in my gracious love, in my gratitude, I expect now to find the light. You know, if you go into the darkness and don't and expect not to find it, you'll get what you expect. You know, people get what they draw to them. And if you're drawing no's, then you quit saying no. I've got a whiteboard up here that I practice my notes on, and I have a big yes written on it because I grew up with no's in my mind. And so someone was talking about he needed yes in his life because and I went, you know, I need yes too. So let me show you my whiteboard.
Oh, nice.
That's been there for a while because I need a yes in my mind now and then. And so every morning I come in here and I tell myself yes, not yes to any particular thing, just yes, I can do this. What? Anything. I can do it. I can say yes in the darkness. See, I do this stuff. I mean, just I really do.
Nice. That was. Yeah. Thank you.
All right. You're very welcome. That was nice. Okay, I'm going to end the recording. Thank you, everyone. This ends chapter 2.